Hello, Beecher. Dr. Jabari back with you. So you've been playing NBA 2K, admit it, Fortnite, or spending hours posting and scrolling on IG. You may feel your eyes need a break and just want to try something different. So one of the best ways to break the boredom is to let your mind travel by reading or hearing rich literature. One classic I'll share with you is called Of Mice and Men, written by John Steinbeck. Now, what's this book about, you ask? It's about two guys named George and Lenny who happen to be two migrant workers. They've been let off a bus miles away from the California farm where they're due to start work. George is a small, dark man with pronounced facial features, where his buddy Lenny is a huge guy. I mean, huge. And Lenny's not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer. He depends on George for guidance and protection. Lenny has a strange habit of petting soft things and sometimes kills them by accident. And get this, he even carries around a dead mouse. So, with that, we'll begin. Chapter 1. A few miles south of Soledad, the Salinas River drops close to the hillside bank and runs deep and green. The water's warm too, for it has slipped twinkling over the yellow sands in the sunlight before reaching the narrow pool. On one side of the river, the Golden Foothill slopes curve up to the strong and rocky Gabilan Mountains, but on the valley side, the water is lined with trees. Willows, fresh and green with every spring, carrying in their lower leaf junctures the debris of the winter's flooding. And sycamores with mottled white recumbent limbs and branches that arch over the pool. On the sandy bank, under the trees, the leaves lie deep and so crisp that a lizard makes a great skittering if he runs among them. Rabbits come out of the bush to sit on the sand in the evening, and the damp flats are covered with the night tracks of coons and with the spread pads of dogs from the ranches, and with the split wedge tracks of deer that come to drink in the dark. There's a path through the willows and among the sycamores, a path beaten hard by boys coming down from the ranches to swim in the deep pool, and beaten hard by tramps who come wearily down from the highway in the evening to jungle up near water. In front of the low horizontal limb of a giant sycamore, there's an ash pile made by many fires. The limb is worn smooth by men who sat on it. Evening of a hot day started with the little wind moving among the leaves. The shade climbed up the hills toward the top. On the sandbanks, the rabbits sat as quietly as little gray sculptured stones. And then from the direction of the state highway came the sound. Did you hear that? Came the sound of footsteps on crisp sycamore leaves. The rabbits hurried noiselessly for cover. A stilted heron labored up into the air and pounded down river. Ah! For a moment, The place was lifeless. And then the two men emerged from the path and came into the opening by the green pool. They had walked in single file down the path, and even in the open, one stayed behind the other. Both were dressed in denim trousers and in denim coats with brass buttons. Both wore black, shapeless hats, and both carried tight blanket rolls slung over their shoulders. The first man was small and quick, darker face with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. Every part of him was defined. Small, strong hands, slender arms, and a thin, bony nose. Behind him walked his opposite, a huge man, shapeless of face, with large pale eyes and wide sloping shoulders. And he walked heavily, dragging his feet a little, the way a bear drags his paws. His arms did not swing at his sides, but hung loosely. The first man stopped short in the clearing, and the follower nearly ran over him. He took off his hat and wiped the sweat bands with his forefinger and snapped the moisture off. His huge companion dropped his blankets and flung himself down and drank from the surface of the green pool. Drank with long gulps, snorting into the water like a horse. The small man stepped nervously beside him. "Lenny!" he said sharply. "Lenny, for God's sakes, don't drink so much!" Lenny continued to snort into the pool. The small man leaned over, shook him by the shoulder. "Lenny, you're gonna be sick like you was last night."